It's October 31st. It's scary day. Let's see if the freight is scary. Stay tuned right after this scary song by a scary dude. Come on now. Sing along. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Oh, man. StreamYard keeps changing things up. I'm a little bit loud. Hold on. Check one. Hey, hey. Hey, hey, hey. Check one. Hey, 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 hey. More me in the monitor. More me. All right. Good morning. Hope all is well. It is All Hallows Eve or Halloween or Samhain, wherever you want to call it. I call it October 31st and I call it Friday. And we've got our coffee going on here. We're going to talk about freight. Is it scary? Of course it's scary because it's uncertain. You know, it's funny when you log in the DAT, it says we take the uncertainty out of freight. I'm like, no, you don't. You cause it. You cause it. Now, I'm not here to bash DAT. I'm sure they're a great organization that's been around for a long time. I do utilize their freight load board, but you got to have a filter. You got to have a filter. What's this filter that you speak of, Mr. Snore Guy? Well, you got to be able to spot the scammers, spot the bad brokers, and just know that you're dealing with a lot of sketchiness because there's a lot of sketchy people out there. That's what's scary about it, right? So, so yesterday I was messing. So the reason why I'm kind of distorted with my microphone here, I was messing with this guitar pedal I bought. I bought it used. Normally these things are like $500. I got it for a steal. And what it is, it's an amp modeler. And it has an interface that you can connect it to the internet and record it with it. Well, I couldn't get it to record, and I was messing with all my sound settings because I don't know if I didn't have the right cord or what, but either way, it's messed everything up. So if I sound different, that's why. I just hope that it's not, dumb. So, anyways, and my analytics are hurting because it's tough for me to go live. This time in the morning, I've been needed every single day, so I guess that's a good thing. But I try not to put the trucks on back order while I'm doing my live feed. In other words, if they're empty, then I don't go live. So, and here lately, because of dynamic pricing, I've had to Wait till last minute on a lot of freight, but when we need something specific, I'll book ahead, and that usually works out okay. So I'm learning the analytics. I'm learning the algorithms on bidding on a lot of these automated systems. Now, I do not like this YouTube where it's going by the username, not the actual handle. So that's kind of dumb. I hate that. But anyways, what I have found, so a lot of people used to criticize me, not as much anymore, by using the same brokers all the time. I have a friend of mine that's I think we're still friends, but he's a fleet owner, and he was griping about his contractors using the same brokers all the time, right? And what it is, it's a fear of leaving money on the table. But here's something that's changed in the last 3 years I've been doing this full time, is that with all the fraud and all the uncertainty and all the unprofessional brokers, I think that the relationships are important. I think that if you're using the same 3 or 4 brokers, as long as you know your market rates, as long as you know your worth, as long as you're making the money that you need, you should be good to go. Because we have a couple of drivers that like to book whatever they can with whoever they can, as long as our factoring company will cover it. They're in, right? And we tend to have a lot of problems with a lot of their loads. We've had a few scam attempts with fake RMIS links. And, meanwhile, I've booked like 5 trucks, with 2 or 3 of the same brokers, and everybody's making money. So relationships are important. And I'll give you an example. So, what are you doing, dog? I'll give you an example. So, one of my drivers, we booked something off the DAP board, and they were very pushy on the communication in the beginning. But the minute that we were going into detention, radio silence, nothing, nada, ghosted, called all their phone numbers, called their main number, called everything, no response. Not even a request for POD, because they didn't want to pay the 10 hours of detention that was owed, right? I will never use that broker again. So a couple of loads later, same thing. Pushy. And then when we got to the receiver, they were like, hey, your appointment's at 9 p.m. My driver's going to be out of hours at that point. And the communication, because a lot of these were names that I couldn't read, that were the email broker team, they could not understand that we don't run illegal. Well, we've never had this problem before. It's never been an issue. Well, guess what? The companies that you're using are leaving the industry. The people that are unplugging the ELDs and running the 2 logbooks because they got 2 MC numbers on the side of their truck, those are going away eventually, hopefully. And you're going to have to find people to legally move your freight within a legal transit time. And again, ghosted. I've got a picture of a ghost. I can't see my shirt, but and that's what's scary, right? Now, yesterday, we had a problem with the CH load. I contact my rep. Hey, we're going into detention. Boom. Detention rate con right off the bat. Hey, we need a picking number that does this. Boom. We got that solved. Right? And these brokers, the ones that I use all the time, they know that if I'm making a phone call to them, they know that there's a situation. See, my dispatcher back in the day, back when I was a company driver, he told me about the Chihuahua versus German Shepherd syndrome, right? So you're sitting there in your house and you got a Chihuahua. Yeah, look, I'm not disparaging Chihuahuas. I'm sure they're very cute, lovable pets. Okay. But a leaf blows by, they bark at it. Squirrels outside, they bark at it. Someone moves suddenly, they bark at that. Right? They're always pretty soon you tone it out. A leaf blows by, they're barking at it. Someone breaks in your house to kill you, they're barking at it, right? You can't tell the difference when something's important, when something's not. German Shepherd sees all these things and doesn't bark until someone's entering your house. You hear the dog bark, you're like, okay, something serious is going on because this dude never barks. Don't be a Chihuahua to your dispatcher or to your broker or to your carrier. Be a German Shepherd. There are some drivers that when they call me, I know that there's a problem. And what happens is, and I learned that that was a very valuable skill that I learned as a driver to my dispatcher, to my fleet manager, and to my carrier. And having a relationship with a good broker is a part of that, right? They're more willing to take your phone call if you're not like blah 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 on every little thing. Look, some docks suck. Some places are hard to get into. Some places take a while to load and unload, right? I just want what's due and we're good. I just want communication. There was a driver, one of our drivers was frustrated. He added me to the email chain because the broker wasn't communicating with him. There's like 10 emails and it's all of our drivers saying, hey man, here's what I'm doing. We're going into detention. Here's what's going on. They need this. They need this. And not one response other than, hey, let us know when you're loaded. Right. And this is why a lot of people look down on brokers because of interactions like that. What I have found that my little filter when I'm going on the load board, any load board, whether it's DAT, truck stop, 123 load board, or even whatever, like Parade or whatever, I filter, like if I haven't heard of this broker, I'm going to check out their history. I'm going to check out a little bit. And if I don't feel it, man, I'm not calling them, and something else that I've learned too, I was calling. So one of the processes I have when I have a driver that's looking for a load, we'll both be on the phone and then I'll try to call, like we'll use TQL as an example. We'll call TQL and say, and I'll add the driver in. So I call TQL, I did the add a call thing, and then while it's giving me the prompts, I'll add the driver in. And the phone systems are not allowing that to happen now. I cannot like if it detects there's a conference call, man, it hangs up. And it's not just TQL, it was a couple other brokers that did that too. So the phone technology is getting up there as well. So it's now the bad part about that is now I have to wheel and deal with the broker, but then I have to call the driver, especially if they're driving, because we're not texting the driver, and say, "Hey, they're at this. Can you do this?" And it clogs up the communication, and that's the problem. I had a 30 email exchange. I put it on a community post. I forget how many. It ended up like being about 30 on what could have been a 2-minute phone conversation. Like one word answers as a full email. Next thing you know, my whole inbox is filled with this thing. I mean, that's good for proof that you need something, but I shouldn't even have to worry about needing proof for something if I trust you, right? There's a lot of I've acquired a lot of lack of trust, right? So, all right, let's go to the comments and then we'll look at low board crap. Oh, we'll go over the market report as well, real quick. Patrick, what's up? Good morning. Desinoki Pam, good morning. CDN, what's up? TK, hey now. Check is good. Thank you. We don't want bad checks. Big Rob, what's up? Hey, what's up, Big Rob? I haven't seen you in a minute. I hope you're doing well. Smitty, what's up? Good morning from the Garden State, the beautiful, lovely. Now, when you're sitting there in the middle of Newark, New Jersey, the last thing you're thinking of is a garden, maybe a concrete garden. A group of regular brokers and carriers working together is where it is at. I believe that 100%. And I've been criticized negatively for that. It's like, whatever. Hope freight is great for all. Grab a piece of pumpkin pie and coffee. Good morning to you. Stay low and rolling. You know, Shadow Wolf is awesome. Check out his channel. He got himself a new Harley, a new motorcycle. Wife is in the house. Morning, y'all. Happy Halloween. I'm late. Remember when Highway came onto the scene? Initial thought, waste time. Now in 2025, they have Tech Company of the Year. 2 years in a row, most brokers are now using Highway. The owner saw the trend. Look, here's the thing. Highway has a love and hate relationship. And they have a lot of information. But when a broker's using Highway and I'm able to do the carrier packet myself without bothering Jeff and it's like boom, 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 I'm for it, right? It's when the brokers don't want to deviate from some of the red flags that might happen because you changed an address or you had some kind of mishap or something like that. That's where it gets kind of difficult. So it's like any other tech. It has its good points and it has its bad points, but I do believe that it is the wave of the future. Steve, your stratosphere above 98% of dispatchers. Fact. Well, thank you. TJ, what's up? Steve, do you have your cell number connected to your computer? It allows you to text from your keyboard versus phone. No, but what I do is I have GChat. So GChat has been great. And then the brokers that I have good relationships with have given me a cell phone number that I can text back and forth. And that's been kind of the butter to my bread here. The especially on these internal load boards, right? Like CH Robinson or RXO. I have reps in all of these, like I've got one for CH, I've got one for RXO, I've got one for Echo. I've got like 18 for Arrive because they keep changing reps on us. I G-chat them because what I'm doing is I can multitask and G-chat them while looking at other stuff. And I can tell when they read the message. That's the difference between using the cell phone is I can tell when they read the message. And that's been a really good tool for me. Now, obviously, if you're a driver, you can't do that, but I'm not driving a truck right now. I'm driving this desk that's about to fall apart. I kind of need a new desk here soon, but maybe Santa Claus will give me one. Gen Z, what's up? Good morning. David Edwards, good morning. So, and this is what I teach the drivers that are struggling, right? It's like, now, we'll use DAT. Let's add the screen here. Is it getting better with flip-flop crackdowns? I don't know. I'm not out there in the trenches as far as like driving the roads. I'm still dealing with a lot of brokers that have impossible transit times. Not as much. It seems it's calmed down just a hair. But, did you see Mother Trucker video last day to comment comment on lawsuit from public employee unions to sue to keep 200,000 non-domiciled drivers on the road. No, I did not see that. You know, when someone puts out like 15 videos a day, it's hard to keep up, especially with all the subscriptions I have. So so there's a lot of things that get lost in the mix. But as far as Tsunami's question, I'm not sure. I'm really not sure. Happy Halloween, Dream Receipt. What's up? All right, so let's share the screen here. And I tend to see this a lot on Fridays, right? So let's share the screen. There we go. There's DAT. Now, 123 low board is my favorite low board as far as tools and everything. They've been really good. 48065 if you want to try it out for free. They have a hot market map, and we'll go to DAT's hot market map. Well, I don't have the map there. I have the what do you call it? The dashboard, whatever. And so let's put this on van. And I want to show you something here, right? So right now they're showing 251 outbound in Missouri. Okay. Now let's go to DAT. Let's scroll down to Missouri. Let's refresh this. They have 635 outbound. You're like, well, you know, they have a lot more loads. They do, right? I mean, they've the longest running low board in the business. They've been around 50 years. Of course, they're going to have. They're the king of the crop. They're the But a lot of people are moving away from DAT. But see, we go to Missouri. There's how many loads? 650. See, search. Picking up today, right? 631. Sorry. Now, I want to show you something. Here we go. Alan's got this posted twice. Springfield, Missouri to Tracy, California. Arrive has got several listed a couple of times. Alan Lund, Kansas City to Lebanon, PA. Okay, they've got different loads. They got two loads here. Jefferson City, Missouri to Searcy, Arkansas, or Wright City, Missouri to Lowell. That's probably two legit loads. That Jeff City to Searcy, that's going to be a product going to Walmart, and then Wright City to Lowell, that's going to be Coca-Cola. That's an easy run, actually. What they got rate on that? $800, not bad. You're going to spend the weekend under it, but like I would take that load because that would get me home. Here we go. FLS has Jefferson City to Laredo or Columbia, Missouri to Laredo. So which one is it, right? One shows $1.22 a mile, and the other one shows $1.18 a mile, because there's a difference of about 30 miles, but this is probably the same load, okay? I call it spamming the load board, right? When you see, like, TQL is notorious for that. They've got a couple here. So FLS has also got Gerald, Missouri to Ottawa, Kansas. Gerald, Missouri to Ottawa, Kansas. Jefferson City to Laredo, Texas. There's that one again. And then Jackson, Missouri to Los Lunas, New Mexico. And then Hazelwood, Missouri to Plainview, Texas. And then they've also got Jackson to Los Lunas, Jackson to Los Lunas, Kansas. Okay, that's different. So basically, you have to take these numbers with a grain of salt, is what I'm saying, right? Now that happens on 123 as well. Let's look at Missouri here. Like, here's two posted for St. Charles to Lockburn with a different rate on it. One's $10 more. $900 go from Independence to Tuttle, Oklahoma. That's going to be going to what's Brahms, DC there in Tuttle, Oklahoma. Lee Summit to Indy for $1.64 miles. So why are they not paying to come out of Missouri? Right? Missouri's usually pretty good. And here's another St. Charles to Lockburn, another St. Charles to Lockburn, another St. Charles to Lockburn, all for Monday, right? There's several of these. So a lot of these numbers you have to take with a grain of salt, right? So whenever you're looking ahead to book a load, let's say, like, for example, I need to get a truck back to the house. So I looked at a load going to Georgia, and then I opened another tab and did Georgia back to the house, and I was able to load, get two loads together. But I did not book the first load till I saw that we can get out of there with the second load board, right? And that's one of the strategies. That's one of the strategies that you can do. Kind of book ahead before you and go backwards. Now, that's tough to do for your whole week. That was a skill that I learned with Snyder when I was doing their click and go system, is that, I know how to get home. I just need to get to the place that gets me home. So a lot of times what you can do is like, okay, let's say that you live in Phoenix, Arizona. So what we can do is like, let's do Arizona. So let's cross this out. Let's go to Arizona. We can look at inbound, right? Where's all the freight coming from? As you can see, there's a lot of California and Texas going to Arizona. Well, here's a Princeton, Kentucky to Tucson, Arizona. So that's for Sunday. Actually, no, tomorrow, Saturday. So let's say I had a truck in Missouri now that need to get to Arizona. I could book something to Princeton, Kentucky, or near it, and then grab this load and get that person home. 2 or 3 step in it, right? And you can look ahead. This is the inbound, right? Right here, there's 2 Elwoods to Litchfield Parks picking up today. So if you're trying to get home and you're in Illinois, but let's say this was Monday. So what I would do is I would call on this load, wheel and deal on that one, and then try to get a load towards Elwood, which is pretty easy because that's Chicagoland. And boom, we got the person home, right? So this is how you find your lanes as well. Now, let's say I'm in Phoenix and I see that high paying load going to Colorado. Like, and let's say they want to go straight back home. Well, I haven't seen a load coming out of Colorado yet. Have you? Nope. Nope. So these are the kind of skills that you learn. But when I look at a load board, it could be either any of them, right? I'm filtering, right? I'm filtering the brokers. AMX, I'm familiar with. USA, Alley Logistics, Geodis Transportation. I'm familiar with all of these. Worldwide Express, they actually have a parade site you can go to. Cornerstone, I'm not familiar with them. So I click on this, and maybe they're predominantly with the freight coming out of California. But I can check their credit here. 99, they are pre-approved by Thunder, so I wouldn't have any problem booking this. But I don't know their habits. I don't know their communication skills. I don't know what their detention. Anybody can have a detention or layover policy, but will they actually abide by it? That's where I struggle, right? Some brokers are upfront, like, hey, you don't get detention at this place because we know the place sucks and it's an open window, right? But others are like, oh yeah, you'll make it after 3 hours, and then 6 hours later, you can't get a hold of the person and they don't even want the POD, right? So, but these are the kind of tools you can use. And sorry, I had a driver text me. They're at the dock, so that's good. So I mean that's so freight can be scary, but you got to know how to filter it. You got to create these relationships, especially in this day and age. Maybe, when the freight market is super high and everybody's like making gangbusters going wherever, those relationships are still important. And a lot of people abandoned those relationships when we were getting paid what we were worth a few years ago because they were chasing the money. For me, it's about consistency, right? Like these multi-stop loads, they consistently pay better than the open spot stuff, but at the same time, you're not looking for freight every single day. Now, you might say, well, Steve, I run the spot market. I don't have to look for freight every day because I run from PA to Washington to Florida, blah, blah, blah. You do the long haul. Well, if you're doing that, then you're probably slowly going out of business unless you're doing something specialized, unless you're doing team loads, because rail has taken over and it's cheaper to put it on a rail. If there's no time constraint on it, they'll put it on a rail. If there's a time constraint, they're putting the team on it. So it's harder and harder to get longer hauls. The long haul coast to coast trucking, man, that's almost a thing of the past. So LBC says, check that one. He interviewed the guy from Overdrive Magazine. Unions are trying to sue to keep illegal drivers on the road. Wow. Red Lady, how's it going? Good morning from the Loves in Holcomb, Kansas. 12 hours waiting. My trailer's still not loading. Wow. That's no good. So now we said third quarter 2026 gangbusters. I don't know about that. So let's take a look at the market, right? So this is the market right now. It's a little bit, we're almost in the loose category. So it's getting a little bit better. All of these have shown improvement. So that's kind of cool. National rates right now. Why it won't let me. Let's do it this way. Showing 207 a mile for van, 252 for flat, and 248 for reefer. It's showing that showed a higher trend upward, but now as we gotten deep in October, it still shows an upward trend, so that's good. But remember, volumes after Thanksgiving drop. Depending on what you're hauling, right? Everything that's going to be sold in Christmas in the retail stores, it's already in the stores, it's already in the DCs. Food wise, the frozen stuff's been shipped, the candy's been shipped. You might be doing a lot more meats and stuff like that for meals right now, and harvest is almost over. So but I don't deal with reefer that much. Your biggest movers are Birmingham to Atlanta and Phoenix to Fresno has gone up a little bit. But Chicago to Indiana has gone down, and North Carolina to Memphis has gone down. I'm not going to get into these charts here. Oh, wait, actually I am. All right. The below chart is showing both the shipping volumes and tender rejection volumes from Sonar. The takeaway here is that volumes are dropping, but carrier rejections are increasing, suggesting that capacity in leaving the market faster than demand is declining. That's good news. This chart shows net changes in trucking authorities. The takeaway from this chart is that the freight market has been in a multi-year downturn with capacity continuing to exit the market. What was it, LTI that just went out? Now, the below chart is showing current statistics from Highway on freight fraud. The takeaway here is there are 605,728 fraudulent emails and 65,000 spoofed calls blocked via Highway in Q3. That's crazy, right? Let's see. I think U.S. and China have reached an agreement, I think. Let's see what else. There was something. Oh, yeah. The House signed off on a 25% tariff on imported medium and heavy duty trucks in Section 232, citing national security risks from foreign dependents. For reference, imports make about 43% of U.S. truck sales. Wow. You guys, oh, and here's an interesting thing. Authorities are investigating the theft of Shaquille O'Neal's custom 2025 Range Rover valued at $180,000 after it disappeared during a double broker scheme while being shipped from Georgia to Louisiana. Now, I've heard the car hauling game is super, super sketchy. All right, market summary. The domestic transportation market is inching toward a balanced state, navigating tightening capacity limits and evolving policy influences with cautious optimism. Truckload volumes remain soft as shippers increasingly opt for rail on long-haul routes amid a lack of pressing inventory needs. Curiously, carrier rejection rates are on the rise, signaling that truckload capacity is exiting the market at a quicker clip than the dip in demand, the dynamic underscoring the sector's subtle rebalancing. So everything's kind of leveling out a little bit. The shift stems from measures like heightened immigration enforcement, restrictions on non-domiciled drivers, and holds on fresh visa approvals, all contributing to a measured workforce adjustment. So there's your answer. Someone was asking about earlier. Layered on top of these developments is the tariff uncertainty spotlighted by the Supreme Court's November 5th hearing on the administration's invocation of emergency powers to enact duties from imports from trucks to components. A clarifying outcome could steady supply chains and encourage deferred investments to resume. Now, I believe that Trump and Xi they have an agreement. Now, of course, there was an agreement in Israel either, and that went to crap. So, but I mean, maybe there's some hope. There's some optimism. As these elements align through the fall, Q4 of 2025 may herald the beginnings of fresh tightness in trucking capacity, setting the stage for a more robust 2026. So that's called the light at the end of the tunnel. And hopefully it's not a freight train coming at you. So that's kind of where we're at here. James G, good morning. Music City, what's up? Morning, kids. Waving a hand from the Sunshine State. All right. So, anyways, we're not going to get into the rest of this. Let's see. So we're back to load availability. Let's see what's coming out of my area today, Missouri. Here's Joplin to Goodyear. This is dog food. Easy on, easy off. A little bit heavy, but not like stupid. Not like 45.5. Usually these are around 43. It's showing 45, but usually it's around normal weight. And there's a cat scale literally like half a block down. So you're good to go. And they'll load you early. There's no rate posted. This picks up Monday, 3 p.m. See, what I would do, you could probably pick this up Sunday or first thing in Monday morning. So that's good. Now, usually JB Hunt has those, but looks like Alan Lund's been getting them here lately too. See, St. Joseph, the Murray, Kentucky, $2.16 a mile, $1,100. They're doing the odd number because it's Friday. I've been told by 3 different brokerages, 3 different companies, that they have little contests on Fridays on trying to book freight at odd numbers. And an odd number is kind of an impression, right? Like we all like, yeah, I'll do it for $2,000. Well, can you meet me in the middle at 1950? Blah blah, that kind of thing, right? Everybody's always in $100, $50 increments, and so it always throws a broker off when I throw an odd number there. Yeah, I'll do this for $2,183. Well, that's very specific. Yeah, I know what the cost is. Oh, okay. Well, can you meet me in the middle at 21? Or something like that. Or it's funny. Well, I can do 2106, and then RXO will take it a step further and put change in it. Yeah, you can get this load for $1,600, $1,678 and 72 cents. Okay. And they won't round up. Like, okay, can we just make it even 18? Nope. So it's crazy, right? And it's a game. Look, it's a game, and you got to kind of enjoy the game. Don't hate the players. And some people are built for it, some people aren't. I when I first started, I wasn't built for it. The whole Landstar platform of negotiating with the agents was, man, I hated it. But a lot of that is because I didn't know what I was doing. Now I have a better read on people. I have a better read on freight. I have a little bit more knowledge, and I know what the limitations are. I know what the market rates are, and I know what the driver needs. And I'm a little bit better at that than I was, say, 15 years ago. Car hauling's like bed buggers. They will change price after they have your property and hold it hostage, right? Yep. Sounds like a terrible game. Some people think that. LVC, luckily, you don't have to worry about any of it, but you're still here supporting. I appreciate that. A lot of loads for today. Let's sort this by pickup date. Boink. 1900 to go to Colorado. Now, this one doesn't make sense. Greenfield, Missouri to Counts, Tennessee. That's a little low. $1.61 a mile. Now, notice that they're paying a little bit better to go into California. So we go to DAT. Let's go to dashboard here. Well, looks like California volume has increased, but there's more coming in than going out. Which, for the longest time, it was the other way around. And so you weren't making any money going into California, but you were making something coming out. Now it's the opposite. And these markets change all the time. The other market that I've noticed that's different now, let's go back to 1, 2, 3 here, is Texas. They're actually, and maybe that's where the immigration thing comes in, because I've actually been seeing decent paying loads going into Texas and actually some coming out. Whereas before you weren't getting it either way. Oh, this is an important thing, Gen Z. But I also know when the rate is probably not budging, and I grab it before I lose it. When you need something specific, there's a market. Some markets you can ask for $200 and you're going to get it. Other markets, you're going to lose loads over $50. You're going to get emails that aren't returned over $25, right? Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss has made me lots of money. If a broker is willing to meet me in the middle, they can probably do my asking price. Unfortunately, my offer is truly my best. I love that book. DIY Semi and I, we did a book report on that. That was a great book. It was given to me by CDN Freight Broker, and it was excellent, excellent, excellent. So, so there you go. Now here's another Pasadena, Texas, New Albany, Mississippi. That's Memphis, right? Picks up today at 10 a.m. Delivers tomorrow. How many miles? 600. That's going to be difficult, man. They're at 1,400. This has to go. Look at the weight though. 45. It's basically 46,000 pounds. You got to do 600 miles, and you got to be able to shut down and be able to at the receiver at 7 a.m. And so if you get loaded at 10 and you don't get loaded till like your appointment's at 10 on loading, if you don't get loaded till 1 or 2, guess what? You got to make it in one shot and hope that they let you spend the night there. Right? So that's where I would call the broker and say, who's the customer? And if I'm familiar with the customer, I know he can spend the night there, then yeah, I'll take this load and I'll make that money. However, I don't have to run full on, right? But when you're trying to run full with 46,000 pounds, you're going to have 0 fuel mileage. And so I'm not a fan of this load unless I know who the receiver is. If they don't allow overnight parking, then I'm out, because now I'm trying to find parking late at night, and I'm not going to be able to start my next shift until after that delivery time. Or if I know the shipper and I know I can go in at 8 a.m. or 6 a.m. today, and they'll have me loaded in an hour, then I know I can make that as well. And if I know the parking around, Memphis, I can make that happen. You can reserve a spot at that Flying J there. So, I mean, there's strategies that you have to think about that a lot of new people in the spot market, it's difficult, right? That's why I also suggest that people own before they own a truck, that they drive for about 5 or so years first. Now, this Hutchins, Texas, 30,000 pounds. I believe I know what this is. It's going to be paper products. Picks up tonight at 7 p.m. and delivers at 6 a.m. Monday morning. Now, how many miles is this? 1,500 miles. So it's going to be you're going to have to run a little bit. But here's the thing. You're not going to be able to average 65 miles per hour getting up there, number one. Okay, we're not even looking at the rate yet. Okay, the rate is irrelevant at this point. Now it's light, so that won't be too bad, but let's look at the tolls. Looks like it reset my, here we go. Where is my tolls? $108. No, there's no tolls on this. Okay. So that's good. But here's the problem with this. The first thing I see is the problem of 7 p.m. So let's say at 7 p.m. I show up to pick up this load and they're like, this has been double booked, or that load's not available, or that load was canceled. Well, now you've wasted all of Friday, and you'll be lucky. Now you'll be in the Texas market, so you should be able to find something tomorrow, but it ain't going to pay well. And so you're putting a lot of, now if you have a relationship with this broker and you have a relationship with this lane and this load, then yeah, then you're probably okay. But things can still happen. So this puts a lot of risk by having something late on a Friday appointment. So I try to make sure that trucks get empty Friday morning, so we're not like trying to pick up something or trying to book something that's, and some brokers will lie to you. They'll tell you, oh yeah, you've got till 5 to pick it up. You show up at 4 o'clock and the gates are closed and no one ain't going to be there till Monday. Next thing you know, you're talking to some overnight person or an AI that can't help you, or an overnight person that, that's outsourced that you can't understand. And then you're sitting there empty all weekend, not being able to find anything that's worth a darn. So I hate Friday evening appointments like this. So this is not a good load to me. Now, when you're looking at the rate, they're about $300 to $500 off. You're going into Jersey. I know it's Texas, but you're going into Jersey. You're going to need a little bit more because you're not going to get it coming out. So this is a losing load to me, even though it shows 18% above my cost per day. Now, if I lived in Jersey and I knew the customers and I absolutely needed this load, then I'm still going to talk them up a little bit, and I'm still going to make a little bit of money according to my numbers. And that goes back to what I told you. You get what you want, get what you need, you get what you can, you just take it. Those are your 4 levels, right? So if I need to be in New Jersey, then this might be my only choice, right? Hopefully you're in a place in your life where you don't need to be in New Jersey, but okay. I'm sure there's some very lovely places there. Now that load was paying $23.30. I would rather do this load, Laredo to Elkhart, Indiana. Also picks up today. Puts you in a good freight market, and it pays more. They're at 27. And the rate is somewhere between 27 and 3,000. And is there any tolls on this lane? I think there's a little bit. So, I mean, so this is the load I would take. Now, of course, Laredo is far from, what was the other place? Hutchins. But you get my meaning, right? This Dallas to College Park, Georgia, 210 a mile. That's pretty good. That picks up today. They're at 17. The rate check's got at 16. So this needs to move. This is probably a work in, but you probably have all weekend to actually, this doesn't deliver till Tuesday. Wow, look at that. No, actually, no. I got my days mixed up. That's Sunday. Yeah, it picks up delivers Sunday. But again, look at the pickup time, 5:30 p.m. 44,000 pounds. I would not be surprised if this is water going to Sam's. Water or Coke or Pepsi, one or the other. Then you got a shorty here for $8.50 for Monday. Houston to Texarkana. So I mean, so the rates are a little bit better coming out. Now this one, Houston to Sioux Falls, South Dakota, $1.58 a mile. That's no bueno, because you're going to struggle to get out of there. Let's look at the outbound here. There's 16 loads. Sioux Falls going anywhere, right? Let's see what those rates look like. So we click on that. $1.60, $1.89, not bad. Going to PA. $1.84 to Georgia. Here we go. $2.39 to Sioux City, Iowa, to Danville, Illinois. Let's look at that one. Make sure it's not hazmat or something. So yeah, there's a lot going on here, right? And it could be scary. It could be overwhelming. Will there be food stamps riots tomorrow? If it is, if there is, it'll all be social media influenced. In other words, people don't do that unless they're truly hungry. But we can get on the Facebooks and the TikToks and say, "Hey, man, November 1st, man, we're gonna walk into Walmart and take everything." That's fear. That's fear manipulation, which is also scary. And junk food makes people crazy, so there's that. Laredo to Reno, $1.77 a mile. Now, here's one picking up Sunday, Grand Prairie to Lakeland, Florida. Now, I'd hate to be the broker trying to move this because trying to find someone that wants to pick up on a Sunday, okay, and then wants to go to deep Florida like that, they're going to pay. They're going to pay for this. And so hopefully their customer is aware. Now, if it's not urgent, they'll just push it to Monday. Now, a lot of times, if let's say you're sitting there in middle of Dallas and it's Saturday night, you just got done delivering and you're looking for a load. You call this broker. A lot of times it'll say it picks up Sunday, but yeah, this picks up Monday morning at 8 a.m. No, I'm looking for something today. Well, we don't have anything for today. Well, why is it posted for today? You know what I mean? There's a lot of that happens on the weekend. So load boards are kind of a cesspool on the weekends. So that's where relationships come in handy, right? So anyways, let's look at a different state here. Let's look at Pennsylvania. Actually, you know what? Since LVC is hanging out with us, let's do California. Let's look at outbound California. What is the highest paying load coming out of California right now on the 123 load board? There it is. 828 miles, $20,000, $25 a mile. Oh man. So we're going to ignore this because this is probably not legit, or it's a typo. They actually put it at 2070, or they did that on purpose to put their load on top. It does pick up today. Another one, California to Arizona, $25 a mile, 11,575. So let's go to a real load. Here's Los Banos, California to Marlboro, Massachusetts, home of the cigarettes. 6,400 bucks, 206 a mile. £40,000. And why is it not showing me my tolls? Unless there's no tolls. Well, I'm gonna have to take a look at that. Maybe there's something off with it a little bit. That'd be a good load. Of course, you're gonna, it's gonna be a little. Let's go back to this load. Before I say that, let's go back to this load. Let's look at outbound. Now, this doesn't pick up till November 5th, so it's not like it's urgent, and you're gonna have a lot of tolls in this direction. So back hauls, there's 27 loads coming out of Massachusetts for that day. So you have to really take that with a grain of salt as well. $6,000 coming out of San Diego today, going to New York City, $212 a mile. That should show me some tolls. Yeah, it must be. Okay, there it is. I just had the thing not clicked. $418 in tolls on that one. 8,000 pounds. So it'll be light. You'll be able to fly. Now, if you are familiar, it's package furniture. So if you're familiar with New York City, you might take this. One pick, two drop. One in Sterling, Virginia. Second drop in New York City. I would probably get at least the tolls added on to this rate, is what I would do. Now, a couple of years ago, that was 10 grand, or a few years ago. 5,200 to go to Pennsylvania. It's a little low. Should be around 56. Like this load here, they're at 45. Stockton to Conyers, Georgia. Okay. You've got zero leverage on this. This isn't until November 10th. 4-day run. They don't have to come up. And right now they're at 45, and the lane normally pays about 52, 49 to 52. Okay. They don't have to come up. You know why? Because it's like literally 10 days from now. So guess what? You have zero leverage with this load. Zero. Now, let's look at inbound. Highest paying load inbound is from Philly, going to Morgan Hill, California for $1.73 a mile. That's usually in the $1.20, $1.30, right? Like here's another one. Here's Connecticut to Dublin, California, $1.34 a mile. But here's Wisconsin to California, $1.83. Usually that's a $3,000 lane. Here we go. Fargo, North Dakota to California, 208 a mile, $3,700, 22,000 pounds. There's a couple of these, right? So, yeah, so I'm seeing higher inbound rates at times. Yeah, here's normal, $1.27 from PA to California. $1.60 from Minneapolis to Calexico. Let's see. Let's go to the comments here. Empty wagons a battle. Sean might be using. They are, man. That's what happens this time of year. Remember, I used to go to the OCs all the time, and you have trouble finding a parking space because there's a bunch of loaded trailers that aren't being delivered yet. So it's storage, just like the containers outside of your friendly neighborhood Walmart. So let's take out California. Let's put in Georgia. Let's see what's coming outbound Georgia, since I just saw cheap freight hauler crawl in here. Sort this by highest rate. What's the highest paying load coming out of Georgia right now? Where's it going? 3,200 to go to Phoenix. $1.51 a mile. $1.45 to Utah. Again, these rates are low because they can put that on a rail, right? You're competing with the rail. $1.28 to California. Now, $1.84 to go to Morris, Illinois. That doesn't pick up till the 7th, so they're probably going to be firm on that. Now, here's Warner Robins to LA, picking up today. $1.19 a mile. No. Here we go. 44,380 on the weight. Lafayette, Georgia to City of Industry, California. 97 cents a mile. Let the rail take that. Don't do that. You'll slowly go out of business doing that consistently. 202 in a mile to go to Jersey. There's several of those. 1,800 to go to Miami, 275 a mile. That needs to be around 3. But you're coming out of Atlanta. Actually, no, you know what? That's about right. No, I've seen our guys get 21, 22, 25 for this load. So you got to know when you have leverage. Atlanta to Miami, you have leverage. Picks up today at 1:30. It's got 2 stops, so you definitely have leverage on this. So this is definitely low. This is a $2,300 load all day long. 23, 2,400. So how many miles is this? 655. So deliver Sunday, and then you just drive back up and be back in Atlanta on Monday morning. Right? All right, CN, thanks for coming in. I appreciate you. Georgia van is looking better. Georgia flatbed is on a downward slope. Should have known flatbed would die when I rented a flatbed. Well, of course, it's that time of year, too. Have a great day, CDN, says Cheap Freight Hauler. Now, let's take a look at flatbed here. We'll throw step deck in here and flatbed. We'll take a look at Georgia. 123 showing 719 outbound. Let's take a look. $1.92 to go to California. 201 to go to Arizona. Now, before you get all excited, notice that Arizona's red. There's only 50 outbound flatbed loads in Arizona. Oops. Didn't mean that. Let's go back to Georgia here. Sort this by a highest rate per mile. This will give you all your shorties. $1,000 go to Charlotte. 821 to go from Commerce to Charlotte. There's a couple of these. Atlanta to Harriman, Tennessee. Morristown, Tennessee. That's usually a decent lane. Georgia to Tennessee and back can usually make you some money in the flatbed if you're into the shorties thing, if you're in the Stratman loads every day and all that. Let's get rid of these. Here's 850. Yep. North Carolina, South Carolina. And what's cool? Let's click on one of these South Carolina ones for 950. All right, this picks up today. I bet you. Let's look at the outbound of South Carolina here. 93 out of Woodruff going anywhere. 6 going right back to the origin. So it's easy to do a back and forth in the Southeast with the flatbed. Really is. I've witnessed it myself with a couple of our drivers. So let's go to market rates and let's try Atlanta. Of course, I can't spell Atlanta, Georgia to Memphis. We'll do Memphis. Yeah, we'll do Memphis. And we'll put this on flatbed. Look at this. Look at this slip right here. 18 and 57. So you've got a lot of backhaul, a lot of back and forth. Look at both our high volumes going anywhere, right? And you can look at the loads. This lane is 385 miles, 6 hours, about $185 in fuel. And it's at 1,000 going from Georgia to Tennessee. See what it does the other way around. About 1,000 the other direction. This is a consistent lane. Now, I told you that before I brought these tools up. Okay. This is what I mean, but I can filter things out. Right? It's actually paying a little bit more to go from Memphis to Atlanta. So this is how you find your consistent lanes. And so find the brokers that have both of these directions. And then you're good. You're golden. You're not jumping all over the country. You're not chasing the money in New Jersey somewhere. You're not dealing with some shipper receiver ailments that come out of the blue and ruin your whole week. You've got consistency, consistent money. You just got to work and make sure that your truck's up to date, your truck's up to snuff, and you're good to go, and you can make some money. That's how you make the freight market less scary, is consistency, patterns, follow the trends, and you're golden. It's that simple. It's not easy, but it's that simple. Anyways, 48065, if you want to try out the 123 low board for free. You have the profit calculator, you have the mileage calculator, you have a place for your documents, you can post your truck. It's even got a discount on roadside assistance, that kind of thing, right? So gives you credit reports, reefer rates, border wait times. It's got all this stuff, right? I do get a kickback for it, so that's why I do promote it, but I also use it. This second screen has always got 123 low board, DAT's rate check tool, my email for Like Trucking, and my credit report for Like Trucking. That's it. That's all this second screen has. Then the first one's got all my low boards and stuff like that. So you've done good out of Blytheville. I think I know what load you're doing because I get emails on that all the time. So, but anyways, try it out for free. If you don't like it, don't take my word for it. If you don't like it, you like it, cool. If not, try it out. Use my code 48065. Also, we're always looking for contractors here at Like Trucking, especially if you have your own truck. I don't know if we have any plans to do any more lease trucks this year, but that's a Jeff question. But if you have your own truck, then we welcome you aboard. If you have any questions, you could email me at snorelord@yahoo.com. And look, it's and be safe tonight. There's a lot of pranks that go on. There's a lot of people that throw pumpkins over overpasses and stuff like that. So just be safe, be smart. There's going to be a lot of drunk drivers on the road. It's almost as bad as New Year's. And make sure that the candy bars that you're getting don't have razor blades in them. So with that being said, strength for today, hope for tomorrow, and hopefully we'll see you next week. So peace. After I play this scary song later.